Welcome! Big Christmas Painting Time Part 2. In this part, we will be exploring evergreens in this composition. But first, I'm heading to the forest to find some fresh evergreens because we know that evergreens are available all year round. And we have so much snow. This is so beautiful and wintry. I need some samples of evergreens right in front of me to compare mixing watercolors. While I'm looking for evergreen samples, I want to keep my kid busy, so we decided to create something tasty during our trip to forest. We are making ice cream in wintertime outside. This is first time for me, so exciting. Only 2 ingredients, snow and condensed milk. Ice cream turned out perfect, just like the real ice cream. And back to my studio. Lighting up candles. It is getting darker. I have my samples in front of me. I can freely mix watercolors because I have real samples. That is so important and so helping. Uncovering my painting so nothing drops on it and paper stays clean and we can mix watercolors. Testing on a piece of paper. All used pigments are written down below in description box. And with the tip of the finest brush, and we will needing only the finest brush here, I start to apply each needle of the evergreen separately. Zooming in really closely my reference photo so I see what I'm painting. It's real winter outside, but it's so cozy inside my Christmas art studio. I can paint and completely get carried away by painting process and art. Each needle is painted separately. Get the finest brush you have and paint with the very tip of that brush. Carefully observing each needle in the reference. I don't have all the needles that are visible in the reference in my composition, and this is my painting. I can change some details from references. I decided that I will have lesser amount of needles so it is manageable to paint, but if you want to challenge yourself, you can add all the needles that you see in the reference. But still we can make adjustments. If it's not completely messing with our painting, with our composition, we can add some changes. We can remove something or maybe add something. In my case, I left out some needles because I thought it would be too much to show you. Still, in this tutorial, in this video, I can show you the main characteristics and the main approach how to paint this evergreen. Applying each layer with the tip of the brush very carefully, and I'm painting transparently. Starting from the darker areas that I see in my reference, and I really encourage you to download the reference and zoom in really closely, study each needle. The needle is divided in 2 sections with the line in between. One half is more darker and the other half is lighter because they also are turning in different directions, and some needles are more facing the light source and some are turning away. Also, I encourage you to draw as they are in the reference. Don't try to make them similar. They are different. They are moved in different directions. There is a little mess, but in this mess we see more natural look. If we will draw them, outline them completely the same in line one by one, it will not look realistic, it will more look like an illustration. And as you can see with the very tip of the brush, I'm adding that separating line in between. Also very carefully outlining because I can see in the reference that there is a darker line on the edges. I'm not outlining just because to outline, I'm doing that only if it is visible in the reference. Carefully separating each needle from another if they are crossing each other and there are some cast shadow area. You need to show that. It will help us build the more three-dimensional look of this painting. Carefully observe the reference. The observation in realistic watercolor painting is the key. They are not some kind of super technique, super approach to get a realistic painting. It's all about looking the reference, seeing and applying what you see to your painting. Paint slowly. This is a time lapse. Full tutorial is on my Patreon available, and it's more than 1 hour long. It takes patience to paint needles, but it's really meditative. As you start to get the process, the approach, you just really get carried away by all those needles, all those little brush strokes. Also, while I painted, I decided to add some extra needles because I see that they will help my composition look more realistic. Adding some darker shades for contrast, for separating, giving more three-dimensional look. Carefully around the amaryllis flower, we don't want any green brush strokes to enter the red area. So patiently and slowly move forward. No need to rush. If you feel tired, you can always pause it and come back the next day or after some time, take a break, go for a walk. Also, if you feel a rush to make something faster, to do some shortcuts, also take a break. It's better to take break. In realistic watercolor painting, there are no shortcuts. It's just meticulous work towards the required result. And we need a realistic look of these evergreens. Towards the end, I am adding more contrast, some extra needles to build a more realistic look. Still painting with the tip of the brush, and even after an hour, I'm still looking in reference, searching for some details, new tonal values, some interesting needles behind the ones that are in front of us, and adding some darker shadow parts to the stem of this evergreen. More contrast with finer brush strokes, and as you can see, this evergreen is looking more and more realistic. It is coming to life only with tonal values and with the finest brush strokes that we can do. Thank you for watching, thank you for painting with me, and see you in next part. We will be painting amaryllis flower.